What does St. Joseph's feast teach us about faith, humility, and God's plan for our lives? Let's explore the deep meaning behind this important celebration. The Feast of St. Joseph, celebrated on March 19th, is a day to honor the earthly father of Jesus Christ and the husband of the Blessed Virgin Mary. St. Joseph, though often seen in the background of the Gospels, plays a crucial role in God's plan for salvation. His life is a profound example of faith, obedience, and humility, qualities that we are all called to embody in our own lives. St. Joseph's story begins in the Gospel of Matthew. When Mary, his betrothed, was found to be with child, Joseph, being a righteous man, initially planned to divorce her quietly, not wanting to expose her to public disgrace. But an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, "Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary home as your wife, because what is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit." Matthew 1 verse 20. This angelic message changed Joseph's life forever, and he chose to trust God's plan, despite the confusion and uncertainty he may have felt. St. Joseph's obedience to God's call shows us what true faith looks like. He didn't hesitate. He immediately took Mary as his wife and later became the protector and provider for Jesus and Mary. Joseph's role as the earthly father of Jesus was not one of glory or fame, but of humble service. He was a carpenter by trade, living a simple life, but his dedication to his family was unwavering. For us, St. Joseph's life is a model of how we are called to live our faith. In the quiet moments of our lives, we can choose to be faithful to God's plan, just as Joseph did. Often, the most significant acts of faith are not in grand gestures, but in the daily, humble choices we make to trust in God's will for our lives. St. Joseph's feast also invites us to reflect on the role of fathers in the family. In a world where the family unit is often under attack, St. Joseph's example of selfless love and protection is a beacon of hope. He was a man who provided for his family, cared for them, and led them by example. As Catholics, we are called to honor and respect our fathers, recognizing the vital role they play in shaping the faith and future of their children. In addition, the Feast of St. Joseph calls us to reflect on the importance of work. Joseph was a carpenter, and through his work, he provided for his family. His work was not just a means of livelihood, but also an act of service to God and his family. In 1 Corinthians 10 verse 31, St. Paul reminds us, "So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God." St. Joseph's work, though simple, was done for the glory of God, and it teaches us that every task, no matter how small, can be an offering to God. For those new to the Catholic faith, celebrating St. Joseph's feast day is a way to deepen your understanding of God's presence in everyday life. St. Joseph's story reminds us that God's plan often unfolds in small, quiet ways. It's in the simple acts of faith, like Joseph's acceptance of God's will, that we find true holiness. As we reflect on the life of St. Joseph, let us ask for his intercession. May he guide us to live our lives with the same humility, obedience, and faith that he demonstrated. Let us trust in God's plan for our lives, even when we don't understand it fully, and may we always be ready to say yes to whatever God asks of us, just as St. Joseph did. In honoring St. Joseph, we celebrate the power of quiet, faithful service that changes lives and, ultimately, brings us closer to the heart of God.